heels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess.
Well, Will, I can talk in a fake accent too and move my head real fast, and then it sounds like I know what I'm saying, but that doesn't make it the case. I can't put those eyelashes on, though, because I would look completely ridiculous. All right, guys, how you doing? I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It's March 26, 2025. As always, live streaming, Rumble, YouTube, Locals. There will be no post-game show today. Unfortunately, I'm jumping on Piers Morgan immediately after the show, and then we got a whole bunch of stuff. But as always, I will make it up to you fine folks over on Locals. Appreciate it. Before we dive into the show, and obviously this big Signal chat fiasco is going to frame most of it. We'll do a little bit more on Miss Eyelash Lady over there, and then we'll get to some positive stuff happening in the country. But real quick, I did get my MRI results, and many of you have been asking, and I'm actually completely shocked. So just for those of you that missed part of this, on Sunday I was playing basketball, about 3 hours in, went up for a layup at the end. I think I stepped on somebody's foot when I came down. I'm not totally sure, but my knee twisted. I heard crunching and popping. It was like glass and popcorn crushing. Like, it was the craziest sound I have ever heard. Other guys on the court heard the sound. It hurt. I was carried off the court. Like, it was a mess. I've been limping around. Anyway, got the MRI, had the x-ray, blah, blah, blah. MRI came back, and we had put the images into Grok, and Grok said I had a torn meniscus. Turns out that my meniscus is fine. And I was really worried that I was going to have a torn MCL. I already have a torn ACL in that knee. And it turns out that my MCL is just injured. That's it. I have a lot of fluid in my knee, but just an injured MCL. So I have limited movement and it's sore and blah, blah, blah. And I'm doing Gutfeld tomorrow in New York, and I'm probably gonna have to limp on stage and whatever else. But I am beyond elated and thrilled. I will not need surgery. I will play basketball again. And then we thought, because this is now going to be something that I'm going to solve with stem cells and peptides and probably PRP and some other stuff. And I'm already in touch with some of the leading doctors on that. We're going to film some of that stuff because there are ways to fix your body that don't involve invasive surgeries. So anyway, putting aside everything happening in the world right now, first off, I just want to thank everybody for their well wishes. And people were giving me all sorts of advice and sending me doctors and everything else. Really super appreciate it. And I'm just, on a personal note, I am just beyond thrilled. Like, I thought I was never going to play ball again. I thought I was going to have to take like a month off for recovery, all of this stuff. And it looks like we're going to inject some stem cells and let the magic of the universe happen in my knee. So anyway, I'm very happy on that note. Okay, so let's dive right in, because the big story right now is this Signal chat that included a bunch of our top officials in the government, from J.D. Vance, Tim Walz over at NSA, Tulsi Gabbard, and a bunch more that were in this Signal chat. And there was a discussion, actually a fairly robust debate and discussion about our attacks on the Houthis who have basically been acting as pirates and blocking shipping lanes and firing rockets and a whole bunch of stuff. And we've been bombing them. Everyone knows it. There was no secret there. We have been doing that. But apparently Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic got added into the chat in Signal. It's still a little unclear how he got added in or who did it. But this now is the first, I would say, little bit of scandal that has some teeth. Let's put it that way. Some teeth to it, and the media is going crazy with it. So we're going to cover it quite extensively here. I do want to say before we start that we are off of 4 years of a man with dementia who obviously was not in charge, who was doing everything by, that electronic pen, that auto pen, that was pushed aside in, I would say, a soft coup by his own vice president and by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. We had an administration that hired completely unqualified people across the board. We had a horrific response to COVID from the previous administration, with forcing mandates and forcing people out of jobs and all of those things. We had an administration that created insane inflation. We had an administration that opened the border. So while there is possibly, I would say, something here to the backdrop of the horrific abusive, negligent administration we just had, that the entire 4 years were a scandal. And I think that it is worth noting that when you're getting into discussions with your friends about this, who are suddenly screaming about, oh my God, war plans were released and blah, blah, blah. It's like, how about 4 years of everything top down being a scandal because Joe Biden had dementia and we all knew it? So just put a pin in that. And now let's jump over to some of the media coverage of this, and then we'll get into the specifics of the content of the chat. Let's start with The View. Because how else would America get news if it wasn't from Whoopi Goldberg? She wants to lock up some of these people involved in the chat.
So the question is he going to make good on this promise?
Oh, yeah.
What should happen here? Should we be saying lock them up? Well, how does it... You know what I mean?
I'd like to answer on the legal piece.
Yeah.
I would like to answer on the legal piece because they may have violated several provisions of the Espionage Act, which governs the handling of national defense information. And so what happened here, apparently, in my view, ran afoul of both laws that require the retention of records, and more importantly, laws related to classified information.
Oh my God, they're so excited. I don't know why she's talking more like a Valley girl if she was very scared about what has been released here. Now look, again, it is unclear who put Jeffrey Goldberg into this chat. He should not have been there. And, you know, I asked a couple of questions at the top of the show yesterday as it pertained to all of this. Who put Signal on their phones? Are they supposed to communicate about classified information and about military strikes, et cetera, via Signal? Also, our government is in a process of major change. We are realizing how corrupt and backwards our systems have been, our technological systems and everything else. So we live in a time where people do communicate on end-to-end encryption apps. I'm sure many of you have Signal. And it's like, what other way were they supposed to communicate? There is some internal government system that we talked about yesterday, but that's not even on phones as far as we understand it. Anyway, interestingly, and again, this is not an excuse for whoever let Jeffrey Goldberg into the system, unless even that was done somehow, you know, in some weird DL sort of way. But here is CIA Director Ratcliffe talking about how Signal was already loaded on his computer and other devices when he came in.
So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe.
Okay, so that absolutely 100% addresses the question I brought up yesterday. Are they allowed to use Signal? Well, not only was Signal loaded on his computer as the head of the CIA, but also on other devices. And he sat down with as he said, the CIA records management team, and they said it's okay to use Signal. Now, again, that does not excuse however the journalist Jeffrey Goldberg got into the chat. But it does not sound like using Signal in and of itself that anyone did anything wrong here. That's JD, that's Tulsi, or anyone else. Here is NSA's Mike Walz talking to Laura Ingraham last night about how shocked he is that Jeffrey Goldberg ended up in this chat.
How did a Trump-hating editor of The Atlantic end up on your Signal chat? You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, who has lied to Gold Star families, lied to their attorneys, and gone to Russia hoax, gone to just all kinds of links to lie and smear the president of the United States. And he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
Okay, so that's a bit of conjecture there. Like, we don't know exactly how he got in. And it is true that Jeffrey Goldberg and The Atlantic are kind of never Trump. I don't even know that they're conservatives, but they hate Trump. Goldberg hates Trump. This isn't a surprise. It appears that in the chat itself, I think there are about 12 people in there. And in the chat itself, he went in as JG. So it seems that somebody else, and again, we don't know who, thought they were inviting someone else with those initials. We will find out. Or was there some weird thing going on as they had Signal preloaded and this guy, somehow they put this guy in? Like, is that the deep state? I don't know. I don't know exactly what to believe. We're just getting information on the fly here. This is wild. We saw this literally 10:59 as we were about to start the show right now. This is from Benny Johnson. Breaking, rogue judge Boasberg has been assigned to the lawsuit involving the Signal chat with Pete Hegseth, Mike Walz, and other security officials. You might know the name Boasberg because Boasberg is the judge that tried to stop the 2 planes that were sending the 230 some odd Venezuelan gang members back to El Salvador. He's the one that tried to turn them around, and suddenly he's being given the case on this. Like, isn't this exactly the deep state kind of stuff we've been fighting this entire time? Jeffrey Goldberg, the guy who got put in here, the JG in the chat, he went on a podcast with this guy, Tim Miller, who's an MSNBC bulwark guy. So take this with a gram of Coke. And Tim asked him why he didn't release more of the Signal chat yet.
Now the Secretary of Defense and the White House press secretary have said you're lying, have said there are no war plans there, have said there's no classified information. So the obvious question is, shouldn't you now demonstrate it? Shouldn't you publish the text?
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
But how can you prove that you're wrong? Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate Special Committees on Intelligence? Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you want to become my lawyer?
I'm throwing this out there, Jeff. I don't know. I mean, look.
I feel like no. I mean, I obviously. Let me just put it this way: my colleagues and I, and the advice that and the people who are giving us advice on this have some interesting conversations to have about this.
Yeah.
But just because they're irresponsible with material doesn't mean that I'm going to be irresponsible with this material.
All right, so just to kind of get caught up there. Well, first off, the gram of Coke line, take everything he says with a gram of Coke. There was a comedian that I did stand up with literally over 25 years ago, around 1998. I don't know what happened to her. Her name was Nicole Corcolis, and she used to say, obviously the line is take everything I say with a grain of salt. She used to say, take everything I say with a gram of Coke. So Nicole, if you're still out there, full credit to you on that one. As for Goldberg there, Tim asked him, why don't you publish more of the text? And he says, no, because they're wrong. I literally don't know what that means. And then he starts basically saying, hey, I'm going to get in trouble with my lawyers and blah, blah, blah. So I don't really know what's going on here. Did he get accidentally put in by someone in that group chat? Possibly. Is it possible that because these signals were apparently preloaded and people at the CIA told the freaking incoming CIA director that he could use it, that somehow whatever that is, the deep state, whatever that layer is, put him in the chat? I have no idea. I don't think we have any more info for that. But we do know, to Mike Waltz's point, it's a little bizarre that of all of the journalists out there that could have got added to this, that if you think are on, say, Tulsi's phone or on Mike Waltz's phone or JD's phone, they probably mostly have kind of Trump-aligned journalists. Somehow it turns out to be a never-Trump journalist. And there he is talking to an MSNBC guy on the bulwark. Like, again, I don't know exactly what's true here, but it's one of those moments where we have the puzzle pieces in front of us and we just don't know exactly what we're trying to put together. Here's Trump telling Greg Kelly that the Atlantic sucks, and so does Jeffrey Goldberg.
Goldberg's bad news. It's the Atlantic. It's failing. It's probably going to be out of business soon. And it's a terrible magazine. They made up all sorts of stories about me with standing over the grave of soldiers. There's nobody that treats the military better than me. And they treat me well, too. They showed that in the election. But they write stories. It's such a disgrace. And there are plenty of others also. But Goldberg's a loser. His magazine's a big loser. And what it was, we believe, is somebody that was on the line with permission, somebody that was with Mike Walz, worked for Mike Walz at a lower level, had, I guess, Goldberg's number or called through the app. And somehow this guy ended up on the call. Now, it wasn't classified, as I understand it. There was no classified information. There was no problem. And the attack was a tremendous success.
Okay, so you can kind of see what the administration's position on this is from Walz and from even Tulsi, just before we started the show today, she said there was a mistake in someone adding. She didn't say who did it. She didn't imply that she knows. But you can see Walz pushing back Trump pushing back. And this is one of those things, and it's why I started the show the way I did about the former president and the 4 years. It was scandal after scandal. Everything was a scandal. Every single thing, from the unqualified people to the mentally handicapped president and everything else. So I'm not even passing judgment on Jeffrey Goldberg per se and anything he's done here. But the idea that everyone would go crazy about this in light of what we just dealt with for 4 years, which were nonstop scandals, and we don't even know if the president himself knew what he was signing, I think, again, you have to take it with a gram of Coke. J.D. Vance, so more of the texts have been released, and I want to read this one to you, because if you watch, we're going to show you a couple of them here, right? I think we have some of the chat here. Yeah, look at this. Okay, so you're seeing some stuff from Hegseth laying out what they're going to do. And again, we all knew that we were attacking the Houthis. Bombs have been going off for days, so nothing really surprising here. But what J.D. Vance wrote, I think, is most interesting, because you're seeing sort of a healthy, it's kind of a debate and a discussion around policy, and they're all laying out their ideas. There's nothing scandalous within this, right? No one's like, hide this information, don't send that to him, blah, blah, blah. J.D. wrote this: "Team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez. 40% of European trade does. There is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this, as POTUS said, is to send a message, but I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I am willing to support the consensus of the team to keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, and seeing where the economy is, etc." So that is JD basically saying, hey, I'm not defending the Houthis and what they're doing, but maybe Europe should get involved here, and the messaging on this maybe hasn't gotten across to the American people. And he's saying, I agree, throwing a bomb over there to show the Houthis, hey, stop doing this, that could be fine, but he doesn't want this thing to escalate. Anyway, the point of even reading that, and if you read the rest of it, it's all thoughtful policy debate. It's kind of good, whether you agree with the outcome of it or not. And again, that has nothing to do with whoever let this person in, etc. So anyway, this is still unfolding. We will find out more. Stay tuned on all of that. And next, we're going to talk about Lady Eyelashes herself, Jasmine Crockett. But first, Bunker. Bunker, a proud sponsor of the Rubin Report, is experiencing tremendous growth, and here's why you should be excited. Trusted by high net worth families, law enforcement agents, professional athletes, and tactical response trainers, Bunker protects lives from surveillance, cyber criminals, and other threats. Now you can join them and experience a new level of digital security. Bunker is an uncompromised private messenger that works seamlessly with a password manager, secure vault, and notes application. It allows you to send messages securely and share sensitive information such as passwords, documents, photos, and videos with ease. Its robust password manager safeguards your online accounts, covering everything from finance and banking to travel and shopping. The secure vault keeps essential documents like identification, health records, travel documents, and insurance cards at your fingertips, along with your most cherished photos and memories. And with its intuitive notes feature, you can easily organize your to-do lists, travel plans, business ideas, personal reflections, recipes, workouts, and health information. With customers in over 130 countries, Bunker offers peace of mind, simplifies travel, and lets you focus on what truly matters. Download Bunker today from the App Store, Play Store, or visit bunker.life and use the offer code Rubin for a 25% off discount. Live life to the fullest and protect what matters most. Download Bunker now. Okay, so let's talk about Lady Eyelashes with fake accent, Jasmine Crockett, representative of Dallas. I'm so sorry to the good people of Dallas. To think that Glenn Beck and the fine people of the Blaze have to live under the thumb of that woman. Jasmine Crockett, she spoke at the Human Rights Campaign thingy. We showed you a little clip of it during the cold open there. Here she is once again calling Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who in 1984 had a part of a tree fall on him and lost the ability to walk. So he has been in a wheelchair now for, basically 40 years. Here she is calling him Governor Hot Wheels at the Human Rights Campaign. They're very concerned about lesbians and gays and trans and people who are marginalized and stuff. But if you're a Republican in a wheelchair, we make fun of you.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes. Right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move on.
Here's a picture of Greg Abbott. You know, you don't see that many pictures of him in the wheelchair. He does stuff, obviously, public events, and they kind of, I don't want to say hide it, but he's usually behind a chair or whatever it might be. But he's been a pretty, I would say, fairly good governor of Texas. He fought the federal government when they were opening up the border and tried to get the Texas National Guard to stop that. Texas is doing fairly well economically, big influx of people and everything else. All of that aside, it just goes, do you think that this woman, this Jasmine Crockett, the way she speaks, it's a fake accent, but then also to be at the human rights campaign making fun of someone who has a disability, like she's just profoundly awful. And the only reason I've been talking about her more on the show is she's the next star. Like, for all of the years of the AOC nonsense that we have had, Jasmine is on her way up. So anyway, Jasmine, with her fake accent and her fake eyelashes, she made fun of a man who has a disability. Again, by no fault of his own. And then she was getting some pushback yesterday, so she tweeted this out. And you tell me if you think this is authentic. I wasn't thinking, should I do this in her voice? I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I can't even do it. I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear amongst the most vulnerable. Literally, my next line, I said that he was a hot-ass mess, referring to his terrible policies. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition, so I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are outraged. Leave it up for 1 second, because this is just sheer nonsense. But she's also, one of the things is when they try to say something sensible, they also then unmask everything else that's insane. So here she's arguing that, okay, when she called him Hot Wheels, it wasn't because he's in a wheelchair, it's because he used planes, which I guess do have wheels, that is true, trains, which do have wheels, and automobiles to transfer migrants into communities of black people, basically. So now you come back to me. So her argument actually is that busing these people into communities, so letting the illegals in, is bad? Because that's not the policy of your party, and it's not your policy, lady. Are you only upset when illegals show up to cities that have black mayors? That would kind of make you racist. I mean, it's just utterly, utterly absurd. Oh, and by the way, it's not the first time she's called them Hot Wheels.
People have a pejorative name for Governor Abbott. I won't use it on the airwaves, even though I'm thinking it right now. 13 other governors.
So the governor called a special session to get his voter suppression bills through.
And
so
this is Hot Wheels who did this?
Yes, Hot Wheels did this.
Okay.
Hot Wheels did this. So you just have to decide for yourself. And I get she's a horrible person, and maybe it doesn't matter that much. And does Trump make fun of people? Yes, although significantly less than he used to. It's way more controlled. But again, these are the people that purport to be for the underdog. They purport to be for the marginalized. They purport to be for the lesbian in a wheelchair who's half blind and drooling, tongue out. They're the ones that purport to be for those people. We make fun of everybody around here. That's the difference between us and them. She continued at the Human Rights Campaign, and one of the things that Democrats are very good at, crocodile tears. If you want to see a group of people who can make fun of people in wheelchairs and then turn on the waterworks a second later, well, Democrats.
Day that the person that should have been president had to deliver her concession speech, I honestly didn't know how I was going to get out of bed. When I tell y'all, I'm getting emotional, that I traveled this country because I knew it was gonna be bad. I didn't know it was gonna be this bad, but I knew, and I knew that the obstacles were going to be even greater because not only was it a woman, but it was a woman of color. But man,
not only was it a woman and a woman of color, it was an idiotic woman and woman of color. It was a woman who had a Venn diagram, and if it said idiot and moron, and they combined, it was Kamala Harris. But yes, she was crying. It's all so freaking fake with these people. I could cry. I woke up and I was, and wanted Kamala, and it's a shit show. We can all do it. We can all do it. I took acting class for 1 week. No, not 1 week, maybe 2 months around 2006 with Melissa Rauch, who was Bernadette on The Big Bang Theory. She's now the star of the Night Court reboot. There's a little insider trivia for you. Glad it worked out for her. Anyway, these people are just terrible, and we'll have more terrible people in just a moment, but first, Lean. Are you stuck in the yo-yo dieting cycle? You lose weight, gain it all back, plus a few extra pounds, then do it all over again? It's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. Studies show that repeated weight fluctuations can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other serious health problems. That's why doctors created Lean, a supplement designed to help you lose weight and keep it off. Unlike injections, Lean is a natural science-backed formula that requires no prescription. It works by supporting healthy blood sugar levels, controlling appetite, and burning fat by converting it into energy. If you're tired of losing weight just to gain it right back and you're ready to lose weight at a healthy, sustainable pace, Lean was made for you. Get 20% off your first order with code Rubin20 at takelean.com. That's Rubin20 at takelean.com. Start your journey today. All right, so one of the things that we showed you on Monday is that the new pivot that the media seems to be doing, because the attacks on Trump obviously haven't worked. So there's kind of two things happening. The main thing is the attack on Elon. But the other thing is just a general attack on all of us who aren't Democrats, that we're dumb and we're uneducated. And that's why. And we don't pay attention to the news, right? We showed you that clip of Ezra Klein from Washington Post and New York Times on Real Time on Friday night. And he was like, people that don't read the news vote for Trump. And it's like, oh, you mean people who haven't been brainwashed by mainstream media vote for the guy who's trying to get the government off our back? That sounds pretty good to me. But this is the new meme with these people, that we're all a bunch of morons. Those of us who care about the Constitution, who love the country, who believe in capitalism, we like knowing what true history is with warts and all, et cetera, et cetera. Most racist lady on television. Sorry, Megyn Kelly, it is not Joy Reid, because Joy Reid is no longer on TV. It's Sunny Hostin. She went on Don Lemon's podcast to talk about why dumb people like you like Donald Trump.
And so why do they want to gut education? Because a less educated America is a permanent working underclass. You can pay those people a lot less. You can make a lot more that way.
And control them.
And you can control them. And that's why when you look at the stats, and I got some flack for saying college educated people voted in vast numbers for Democrats, whereas non-college educated people voted for Republicans. Well, we're seeing that come to pass.
Yes, lady, you're saying something interesting, but not for the reason that you think you're saying it. College educated. If you think that going to college and getting an education to hate America and be a Hamas supporter and be against capitalism and chop off your genitals and la, 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 if you think that is good, well then yes, you will vote for Democrats. What happens is people who then are involved in the real world, who go out and build things and are not brainwashed by activists LARPing as professors, they then become, it's not even more conservative, they just become more freedom loving, which is why I'm very proud that this guy dropped out of college to take a job with me. The guy back there, who we keep back there and we feed fish heads once a week, who's editing, that guy dropped out of college. You finished college, and I'm not thrilled about it. You finished college, but that was way before this whole thing had come to light. Old ass 33-year-old I'm keeping over here. Anyway, the point is, yes, if you think, I'll even go further than that. I made the point about college and how it's brainwashed people and then they become Democrats. Like, congratulations. That's why you guys want public education. And public education clearly is not working. We know it. And that's why the movement, especially post-COVID, to do homeschooling, pod learning, charter schools, et cetera, that's why that stuff is thriving right now. And yes, sorry, there's going to be some competition in the education system. And then people might learn how to think, not what to think. And then they might start thinking that the Democrats ain't so good. Jeff Zeleny.
Forward is, what is the next step here in terms of the funding for kids? And this does not guarantee that students will read better or learn more. It certainly, perhaps offers that opportunity, but we shall see. But he may be long gone before any of those test scores become his problem.
All right, Jeff Zeleny first.
Yes, thank you, Jeff Zeleny. Yes, by cutting the Department of Education, it doesn't guarantee anything. You're right, actually. It does not guarantee things are going to get better, but things have been pretty shitty. Check the scores of what students in Baltimore schools are able to do. Fifth graders are reading at like a kindergarten level, literally. So we are eliminating the top-down system. The states will have more control. Your local community will have more control. There'll be more competition. You'll get credits, hopefully, as more and more of this happens. And you will decide how you want your child to be educated, as opposed to Randy Weingarten and some crazy tranny in a library. That's how we're going to do it. Sorry. Here's Trump also, because he's just racking up win after win. Here he is hinting, I mean, I think he's going to do it, that he's going to sign an executive order banning sanctuary cities.
And we're going to be ending sanctuary cities if we find it necessary to do in certain major areas. And we may just end the entire thing altogether, because it's just a way of protecting criminals. And nobody else is benefited by that. And for some reason, Democrats want to keep and they want to shield criminals from being sent back to their countries or being sent to prison. And in the meantime, the crime rate has gone through the roof. Under Biden, it was through the roof. It's starting to come down, but we're taking a lot of people out of here. So we may be presenting you very shortly with a executive order ending sanctuary cities.
Let me try to be, as I always try to be, perfectly intellectually consistent here. You guys know I don't love being governed by executive action, right? I don't love the idea that we kind of circumvent the legislative branch, which is supposed to pass the laws, and we have the president doing so much. I don't love that. Presidents do it on both sides and everything else. And then the unfortunate part of that is what happens is then the next president comes in, because it wasn't a law created by Congress and signed, the next president come in and just reverse it. So in essence, it's like when Biden came in, he just reversed Trump's executive actions from Trump's first go around on the border. We end up with 4 years of a border fiasco. And then Trump then reverses that, and we basically fix the border overnight. Is that really a way to govern in the way the founders intended? Probably not. Now, in this specific case, would I be for Trump signing that kind of executive action? Absolutely. It is the president's job as the chief executive, the guy in charge of the executive office of the president, to make sure that our borders are protected. He's doing that now, and you can absolutely make a clear argument. You don't even have to think too hard about what the Democrats have done. We all know, I don't have to show you the videos and all the pictures and images and everything else of the tent cities all over the place in San Francisco and Portland and Denver and New York and everywhere else. You all know it. The governors and mayors of these cities have decided to do something illegal. Absolutely illegal. And they've done it at the expense of their taxpayer and of American citizens. And in America, you have the God-given right to pursue happiness. And sometimes it's a little hard to pursue happiness when you're walking your kid to school and you got to jump over a homeless guy in a tent and a woman smoking crack. That would affect your happiness a little bit. So I am completely fine with Trump doing that. And there's more. Here's HUD Secretary Scott Turner and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem talking about ending taxpayer funds for illegal alien housing. Also seems kind of right.
Hey, this is Scott Turner. I'm here today with my dear friend and colleague, Secretary Kristi Noem. And we're here signing the partnership to ensure that the wasteful misappropriations that have been going to assist illegal aliens in our country will no longer go to assist them, but instead to assist the American people, in particular as it pertains to housing. We have a housing affordability crisis in our country, and so today we are ensuring that American taxpayer dollars are used to assist the American people.
Unfortunately, under the Biden administration, they prioritized illegal aliens over American families. And so this memorandum is going to be a partnership that we will form to make sure that these housing programs are going to only people who deserve it, people who are in this country that need assistance, that want a better life for their families. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
This is a wonderful partnership between departments to do what we can to make sure we follow through on President Trump's promise to the American people. So.
Shocking, utterly shocking. People that are working for government, that are interested in using government funds to do something for the people of the nation rather than for illegal people to get subsidized housing. I'm shocked and appalled. I cannot believe it. Also interesting, this is great. President Donald Trump just revoked the Secret Service protection of former DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and we got his image right there. That poor guy with those eyebrows. No more Secret Service protection for you, buddy. And then the hits just keep on coming. Breaking from Eric Daughtry, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya was just confirmed as NIH director by the Senate 53 to 47. That is, I just can't say how absolutely spectacular this is. Look, I know a couple of these people, obviously Tulsi and Bobby, and I've interviewed plenty of them. Dr. Bhattacharya, from day one, if you go back to at the beginning of COVID, we probably had him on around April of 2020. And I've credited him many times for this, but it's especially worth noting today that one of the reasons that I largely got the COVID stuff right, and I did not go completely crazy, and after 2 weeks to end the spread, or whatever the hell they called it, I was basically done, was because I was listening to Jay, and he was calm and thoughtful, and he was basically being attacked by everybody from the machine as some sort of crazy person, and he turned out to be right about virtually everything. He is a great, great human being. I know him a bit off camera as well, and this is a great moment for the NIH, and hopefully between what he's going to do over there and Bobby at HHS, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., hopefully some real reform can happen, and we will never be put in a situation where if your son coughs, you got to lock him in his room for 8 days and all the rest of the ridiculous nonsense. Interestingly, this is a bit of a jump, but J.D. Vance, who we talked about earlier, he'll be joining his wife Usha, his wife's trip to Greenland, and they're going to go visit a Space Force base there. Like, more good things are happening. Did you know there was a Space Force base in Greenland? I bet you did not.
Hey guys, it's J.D. Vance, the Vice President, and you know there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself, and so I'm going to join her. I'm going to visit some of our guardians in the Space Force on the northwest coast of Greenland and also just check out what's going on with the security there of Greenland. As you know, it's really important. A lot of other countries have threatened Greenland, have threatened to use its territories and its waterways to threaten the United States, to threaten Canada, and of course to threaten the people of Greenland. So we're going to check out how things are going there. And I say that speaking for President Trump, we want to reinvigorate the security of the people of Greenland because we think it's important to protecting the security of the entire world. Unfortunately, leaders in both America and in Denmark, I think, ignored Greenland for far too long. That's been bad for Greenland. It's also been bad for the security of the entire world. We think we can take things in a different direction, so I'm going to go check it out.
Okay, sorry, we just added a clip real quick here. So David Friedberg, who is one of the hosts of the All In podcast that I often throw to with David Sachs, they were talking about, as we've laid out sort of the hysteria here of the Democrats. Here he is talking about how the Dems have a two-party problem. Take a look.
I think the Democratic Party has split into two parties. There's the Democratic Party with beliefs, and there's the Democratic Party without beliefs. I think that the Democratic Party with beliefs is the one that's very far left, and their beliefs are fundamentally rooted in concepts of socialism, Marxism. And they're very clear about those beliefs, that traditional power structures need to be dismantled and assets and influence need to be commonly redistributed. The rest of the Democratic Party, which people call the moderate part of the party, actually don't really know what their beliefs are. When you talk to anyone in the Republican Party in a leadership position, you hear very clearly what their beliefs are. We saw it this week in DC. Every member of the cabinet that we met with, and there were quite a number of them, had the exact same message and the exact same set of beliefs of what this administration stands for and what they're trying to do. The problem is that because the moderates in the Democratic Party have not stated a set of beliefs, the party is effectively being represented by this part of the party that does have beliefs, the deeply socialist Marxist beliefs. And they have basically subsumed the message. And as a result, this is why people have lost interest in the Democratic Party.
Okay, so JD going to Greenland, I didn't jump to it, or I didn't say anything about it real quick, but the point broadly about JD going to Greenland, and then I'll get to that in a second, sorry, we crossed up something here, is that this is good. Like, are we taking Greenland? I'm not sure. Did you know a Space Force base was over there? Probably not. But is America just starting to think about American interests again? The answer is yes. Now that then brings us to that clip, where Friedberg is basically laying out what you guys all know, that unfortunately the good liberal, the liberal that is your aunt, the liberal that many people, that most of Americans were, say in 1986 or in 1997 or even in 2008, that liberal now is part of the MAGA, Maha, wide tent Republican moment. So the few moderates that are left are just very confused. They hate the idea of ever being thought of as a conservative or a Republican, even though the conservative movement or the MAGA movement has moved on some of the social issues, is changed and really become the moderate party, but they have it so lodged in their head that they can't be part of that. But then they see the crazies on their side and they know they're not that. So they're just sort of nothing now. And that's why all of the decent liberals who won't get on board the Trump chain just sound, there's just not much to it. Like, it's worth referencing them every now and again, because I don't think they're wrong about a lot of things except the way they vote, except they don't have a party anymore. And at some point, just being the person who, I've got good ideas, but I'm not part of a party because I think I used to say those people are bad or something, it just doesn't work anymore. We'll have more on that in just a second. But first, Rumble app. Looking for more freedom in your streaming? Download the Rumble app today and experience content like never before. Available on Android and iOS, you can take Rumble with you wherever you go, whether you're on the move or just relaxing at home. Want to enjoy it on the big screen? No problem. Rumble is also available on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, LG Smart TVs, and Samsung TV apps, giving you the power of Rumble at your fingertips. Rumble is the platform that gives you the freedom to watch what you want when you want. Download the Rumble app today and make sure to search and follow my channels to receive live notifications. All right, so what we kind of just laid out there, I guess the best way to frame it would be something like this. It's like you've got the moderates in the party who seemingly have no policy beliefs. Because if they would calmly and clearly and cogently lay out their policy beliefs, they would most likely be in line with Donald Trump. So what that has left is the radicals handling the policy. And that really explains the craziness of the Democrat Party. So at that human rights campaign thing that we just showed you a bit of Jasmine Crockett from, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was there. And I don't know, I'm a little confused as to what he said here, so I'm not going to lead you much. Just watch this and try to make some sense of it.
My mother was an activist for reproductive rights and LGBTQ rights. And she took me to pride parades back when, well, they weren't really parades, they were protests. So I have to laugh when I hear the right wing carry on about the dangers of exposing kids to trans people or same-sex couples, because I'm living proof that introducing your kids to the gay agenda might result in them growing up to be governor.
He gay? Did Pritzker just come out of the closet? Like, that is a large gay man. No, I don't know that he's gay, but all right, so he went to gay pride parades. Congratulations, that's very exciting. You became governor, that's good. But you're very confused. Once again, what did I just say? You've got the moderates who have no policy positions, thus you've left the crazies with all of the policy. Well, what he talked about there were reproductive rights. Donald Trump has been more pro-IVF than anybody. There was like a 2-day moment a few months ago where some people on the right were making headway or, just kind of ruffling feathers about IVF. And Trump came out with an absolutely bold statement for IVF and that you want as many children out there, you want families to have as many kids, blah, blah, blah. So that makes no sense on the reproductive right portion. Yes, Donald Trump is less inclined to kill babies in the fetus, if that's what you were referring to, but that doesn't seem like reproduction to me if you're killing all the babies, although I know Democrats love that. And then LGBT rights. Well, he said that back then when he went to the parades that it was a protest rather than a parade. I suppose to some extent that was right. Before gay marriage, before you had marriage equality, so 2 adults could enter the same exact union that any other 2 adults could, then there was probably a protest element to it. But then you get gay marriage, and then everybody's equal. There are no lesbians out there that don't have the rights that straight people have. There are no gays out there or bisexuals out there, if bisexuals even exist. There are no trans people out there, actually. You are over 18, you would like to dress a certain way and call yourself Mary and all of that stuff, that's fine too. There's no right that you do not have. So this is what they've done. They've made everything so hysterical that while the march to equality, which is a long march that Martin Luther King used to talk about, we marched there, we got everybody equal, and they're still screaming that people are not equal. It doesn't mean that there aren't some bigots out there. It doesn't mean that people don't have their own personal religious beliefs as it pertains to some of this stuff. But the law of the land as it stands in America in 2025 is that everyone absolutely is equal. Whether you're a large gay governor of Illinois or whether you're a lesbian in a wheelchair, you're equal. You're absolutely equal. Maxine Waters, a woman who looks like a used catcher's mitt, who's the governor. She looks like a used catcher's mitt. I'm just saying. I'd like to know in the comments. Maybe you guys could all put in the comments what mitt did you have back in the day? Because it was a Spalding mitt, I think. Spalding? Did Spalding do baseball gloves? Yeah, it was Spalding, right? Yeah. And I had Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith was the shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals. That was my mitt. And she looks like just a used catcher's mitt that you've put some oil on, kept it under the bed to loosen that thing up. Here she is. She wants Melania to be deported.
If he wants to start looking so closely to find those who were born here and their parents were undocumented, maybe he ought to first look at Melania. We don't know whether or not her parents were documented. And maybe we'd better just take a look.
Yes, hilarious. You want to get rid of Melania Trump. It's like, so let me get this straight. You guys who are so for illegals all the time, now you've found a couple illegals. Elon Musk, who's not illegal, but you found immigrants you don't like, and you're always allowed to go after Elon Musk from apartheid South Africa. Melania, where did her parents come from? It's like the hypocrisy is off the charts. Do we have a picture of an old mitt? Like, come on, Maxine Waters or old mitt? Who the hell could figure it out? I have no idea. This is just great. And again, this is one of those things. Why do they want to stop memes? Why does Gavin Newsom want to stop people from making memes online? And why are they constantly trying to censor the internet? Remember, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, Tim Walz, during the Tim Walz stand-up tour, honey, let's go to a Tim Walz show. When he was so excited that Tesla's stock was dropping. And then, of course, he had to backtrack out of it because it turned out that Minnesota had about 300 mil in Tesla stock, and that meant his own people were losing their money in their benefit accounts, their Social Security, et cetera. Well, take a look at this.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
So did you get what happened there? Yeah, he was very excited. That was 2 weeks ago. In the beginning of the chart, it is true, Tesla fell for a couple of days. And then Tesla's been going up and up and up since. And where's Tesla at right now? 277. So sorry, buddy. Although congratulations to the people of Minnesota who have more money in their pension accounts. Another lunatic Democrat is Cori Bush, and she had an even crazier he's not I guess he might be a Democrat still, but he's not a member of Congress anymore. Jabal Bowman, the guy who called Elon a Nazi on CNN the other day, and Elon said that he might sue the guy. And here's Cori Bush and Jabal Bowman, and they're very upset because they almost had a chance to take $10 trillion of your money and spend it to solve the climate. These two people who could not tie their shoes properly. Suddenly, if they had only had 10 more trillion of your dollars, I guess it would rain less or something.
Here that there were going to be two separate bills, and we had already had those conversations, but when it was clear, remember, the investment kept going down, down, down. And we were like, no, because we need this investment. We need, like you said, the money. That was more money for lead pipes than what we had. I think it was
3.9 trillion. Did it start at 3.9 and go down, or did it?
We were at, I thought we were at 10, and then it went down to 6, and then down to 3, then it went down to 1.7, I believe.
Who do you think wants people to be dumb? Is it the Republicans? Is it Donald Trump and Elon Musk who are uncovering government fraud and the absolutely obscene way that the government has spent your money? Or is it these people who think if they had only had $10 trillion, they could have solved the environmental problems? It's absurd. The Green New Deal. AOC, about 6 years ago, we got 12 years to live. So AOC, 6 years. Why wouldn't you want to be on Team Rocket Man, who might get you off this mortal coil so you don't drown, unless you are all bullshit artistes? I think you all are. Harry Enten over on CNN has to begrudgingly admit that Donald Trump is now more popular than ever.
I think sometimes it's important to do a little bit of reality check and take a little different spin at the numbers. I'm going to do that right here because all we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one, and more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024. What are we talking about? His net favorable rating right now comes in at -4 points. Compare that to where he was when he won in November of 2024, when he was at -7 points, or March of 2017 when he was at minus 10 points. So when you compare Trump against himself, he's actually closer to the apex than he is to the bottom of the trough. And of course, that's so important because Donald Trump, historically speaking, has had his numbers underestimated. So I think it's very important to compare him to himself to understand he's actually more popular now than he was when he won, or certainly where he was at this point back in his first term. The bottom line is Trump is more towards the ceiling than he is towards the floor.
You know, sometimes these guys actually say the quiet part out loud. He started that segment by saying, all we do is talk about how unpopular he is. Oh, you mean all you do is propaganda to tell people that the president who won is unpopular, but occasionally you have to come up against reality, and numbers are usually reality. So basically, Donald Trump has gone from -7 in November to +4 now. That's a heck of a swing. Most people are into what Donald Trump is doing. All we do is talk about how how unpopular he is. Well, maybe you should stop doing that because it's not true. But when it comes to things that are not true, you only have to follow AOC and Bernie, who in 2018, 2019 were very anti-war. Now Donald Trump's the most anti-war president we have ever had, and they hate him. Here they are, a little throwback for you.
Comes to unlimited war, we seem to be able to invent that money very easily. And to me, it belies a lack of moral priorities that people have right now, especially the Republican Party.
We're going to take on the military industrial complex and end endless war.
Bernie, I'm starting to think you didn't mean any of that, because if you did, then you'd be on Donald Trump's team right now, and you wouldn't be out there having these rallies talking about how he's an oligarch, and this is the end of democracy. You wouldn't be doing that. And AOC, of course, she's just, using whatever little juice you have left to get up on stage and promote her bullshit communist stuff. But that's what you're doing, Bernie. And also, Bernie, we showed a video yesterday where you talked about how you're excited that Donald Trump made the wall, but you had all these other videos where you were against the wall. So what do you really believe, Bernie?
The point here is, people, these guys are idiots, but Americans are not. And we are waking up. We are waking up in droves. Good times are a-coming if we just start allowing them to bubble up. Here's Donald Trump on being pro-American.
I will say this. They've got to get some policy, because I watched a Democrat congressman this morning, fighting like crazy on a television, one of your competitors, hard to believe, right? But fighting like crazy over the men and playing in women's sports, that he thinks it's absolutely fine. If they keep going like this, I don't think they can win another election. Between that and all of the other craziness that they do, I don't think they can win another election.
There really has obviously never been a president like Trump, obviously. But even right there, he's basically telling the Democrats, hey, you guys want more votes? You want to do better in future elections? Stop doing the crazy shit. He's telling them the thing that they need to hear. That's a heck of a thing for somebody who doesn't want them to be in power again to do. But that's what he's doing. And isn't it interesting? Again, is Donald Trump and the Trump movement and MAGA and all that, is it far right? Is it racist or anything? Or is it some sort of move to make an oligarchy or anything like they're pushing out there? Or is it really just that he's like, I don't want dudes beating up chicks. I like America. I like capitalism. You know what it is fundamentally, actually? Donald Trump likes people. Donald Trump likes human beings, and he likes different types of people. And that's why this thing has been so interesting as the culture has shifted, and you just see Donald Trump in all of these different situations, talking to all of these people that you wouldn't have thought him talking to, whether it's athletes or rappers or whoever it might be. And there's even more of that. Phoenix, can you scroll a little bit for me? They basically have now taken control, I would say, the Trump movement of the American culture. And this is just such a cool video. This is Second Lieutenant Wyatt Hendrickson, who now wins. You'll see this is a wrestling match, one of the biggest upsets in NAACP history. And NAACP? No. Glad I caught that one in NCAA history, slightly different than the NAACP. And Trump is there, and just watch this. It's just great.
30 seconds left. Oh, he's to the left this time. He's sliding off. Oh, we're going to get big here. On the high crotch. And he's running down. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Can you believe this? Oh, my goodness. The biggest upset in the history of the NCAA. Could this be it? Yes, he has done it. He kept wrestling. Captain America. Captain America.
Rob, I can't believe it.
My jaw's on the floor.
He did it.
Hey. Shut up, Rock.
I'm glad that he was the last match.
That's what the last match is supposed
That's
to
the
be.
last match.
That's what a main event
That's
looks
what
like.
it should look like. That's a
what
main event.
looks like.
What the president say to you? He said he's very proud of me. That's like commander-in-chief. I'm very proud of that. He came here to support his troops. I put on a show for him. I won him that national title. I know I can do this. God gifted me. All week I've been looking at David and Goliath, and no one thought that David could take down Goliath, but I did. I trusted in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and he gave me that victory. He was on that mat with me.
And guys, it's just beautiful. Look, I don't know what that guy's political beliefs are. I don't even care what they are, but he loves America. And the fact that people are proud to hold the flag again, and that Trump goes to all of these things. Why didn't Biden go to any of these things? Why can't you really picture an athlete proudly displaying the American flag while Joe Biden or Kamala Harris was near them? Here's an image of Trump hugging Wyatt Hendrickson. I mean, it's just great, and it's real. And again, he likes people. And I should note that the NCAA wrestling tournament is very different than the NAACP wrestling tournament, which is just Al Sharpton and Elie Wiesel just on top of each other, and it's gross and disgusting, and I apologize for putting that image in your head. All right, guys, I apologize. No post-game show today because I'm on Piers Morgan in just a minute. I'm sure I'm debating some crazy leftist lunatics. We'll put some clips up on that, and we will be back tomorrow. Oh, and I will be on Gutfeld live in New York tomorrow night. Jesse Waters on Friday, a couple other Fox and Friends, and a few other things. So stay tuned on all that. See you tomorrow. Ciao.